This one's going in. Third time's the charm. Boom! Shaka-laka. We moved out of the apartment, which I wanted to do more of a video about the closure towards that, and we still may. Yeah, just moving, you know, leaving a place that's been home for the past few years of your life. It's something, you know. Just, it's like that scene of Fresh Prince where Will is standing there in the living room and all the furniture's out. You know, that's kind of how it felt. One of us shed tears. They were tears of what, Jennifer? What would you say?
Exhaustion.
Yeah, we technically didn't have to be out until Saturday, but somebody really wanted to finish moving on Thursday and both of us be out on Thursday. Somebody really wanted that. And I think it might have hit that person like a storm that we were moving and how much it entailed. Maybe like a day, no, not a day, like 3 days before. I think it hit one of us really hard. Really like in the face. And then the other one of us, like a week or two before, was like, hey, we need to start cleaning, we need to start moving. And the other one, it hit really hard, like 3 or 4 days. And tears were shed. The apartment moving out, it's a bit sad, but at the same time, there was a lot of happy memories there. I'll say one of the worst while we were there, I think, for me was when I was applying for teaching jobs. And I had got my certification, everything was worked out, and like I got a job interview, and I had a friend that worked at the school. The interview went great, like stunningly great. And I had great questions for them. I think we were all vibing, and everything that the principal and administrator were talking about in their teaching philosophy, it was like, that's me. I was gonna say that 100% was me. It would have been really far to drive, but first teaching gig, you're worth it. It was a bummer because, you know, I got a call later that day saying they went a different direction. And in my mind, it was like, I don't know how much I told you, Jennifer, but it was like, oh my God, like that was a textbook interview. And they told me everything went great, but they went with someone else. And in my mind, I was just like...
Doesn't that just humanize people?
Like...
Though...
What do you mean, humanize?
Like, it humanizes the people you interview with. So that should be like, kind of like a lesson that you take with you to your next interview. It's like, I'm just going to do what I do, and it's not my decision, so I can't like not invest, that sounds bad. You want to invest yourself in like what you're doing. You want to invest yourself, but not like, I don't know how to say it. Like the people on the other side of you are just, I'm trying to say like, it's humanizing because it's like, wow, they're idiots sometimes too. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how like skilled or how blah, 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 it's like sometimes, you know,
yeah,
maybe it wasn't down to one person. Maybe it was just like, or maybe it came down to like everyone wanted you, but then one person was like, no, I want this guy. You know what I mean? It humanizes people because it's like, they knew you were really good and you would be a good teacher, but they still went with someone else. So it's like,
yeah. And that was a bummer that sometimes I feel like I struggle to ask for help. Not that I'm against help, but it's kind of hard for me to ask. So even when like my job now and like after I left the last high school I was working at, it was tough for me to ask for people for recommendations or for help to get in places. And like, I didn't like the fact that I know in the past I have been passed up on jobs because I didn't know anybody. I wanted it to be skills and like me bringing it, but at the same time, it's like I know that can't. The world doesn't work like that. What I just talked about earlier is like relationships that you build, and so not that I want to take advantage of that nepotism, but I think to some degree you have to play with that it is about who you know sometimes. Back to what I was saying though, one of my worst days there at the apartment was after that interview, which went great. I was willing to coach as well, which is, as a teacher, if you can be a teacher coach, you know, you're a lot more attractive. I knew somebody there. I was willing to do all the things, and all of those things checked off, and I still got rejected. That for me was crushing. Like I I went on a run that evening, and part of that run, I was in tears. Kind of hard breathing and still, but I was just so frustrated because I had done everything that I could, and I feel like everything was perfect, and I even knew somebody this time, and it's like, and still, I was crushed. I don't know how much I told Jennifer, but I was like, I couldn't believe it. And oddly enough, they called me after the school I ended up getting hired at. They called me back, the one where the interview went really good, and I knew somebody, because I think it was like the other candidate, they missed that other candidate was not willing to coach and would not coach. And so again, as I said, if you're a teacher and you can coach, you're way more attractive. And so
humanizing. It was that day they knew they were idiots.
Well, I mean, everybody's human.
That's
and
what
we
I'm
all
saying.
make mistakes.
It humanizes people like that. It's like no one has some immense power over you. No one should have. I know it feels that way when you go to interviews, especially for me. It's like, oh my God, it's so nerve-wracking. They have some immense power over me. And now it's like...
So that for me was probably the worst.
But it led to something better.
It did. Trying to think of maybe another worst there.
She said, I didn't know you had so many worse at her apartment.
Jennifer's kind of negative sometimes. It's like that movie Sleepover. You ever watch Sleepover? Jennifer watched Sleepover a lot as a kid, and now I know why she's the way she is sometimes. 100%. Another memory there at the apartment. I remember, funny story, funny and not funny. Like one time I was working at the special needs school, and I had a terrible day. I literally got poop thrown at my shirt. And I mean, like, imagine that is my shirt, right? This wall, and it was like solid, and it like, the kid was having a day. It was behavior. I'll never blame the kid for that. A lot of things going on. Anyways, in the situation, imagine that's my shirt. Poop. Right there. Solid as a rock. And I just I left the classroom. There were other teachers there, but I left the classroom and I had to go for a walk, and I was just like, I just remember going home to the apartment and sitting in the car for like 10 minutes and I was incredibly stressed out. Before I went inside, I called Jennifer's parents. That's right, I hadn't bought it yet, but I had like narrowed it down. And I had talked to them, and I was like, I basically, I wanted to do that in person, but they lived in Corpus and whatnot, and we were in Austin, and it just wasn't quite feasible. But, I asked them and told them my intentions and stuff, and it was memorable, for sure. And they said, it's about time, take her. I did say that, her mom said that. Another memory, obviously when Jennifer told me that we're expecting, and I was trying to still make calls, but that was on my mind all day. But we paid off our debt. That was major good time. It is absolutely 100% nice. I mean, we're not rich and balling out of control by any means, but our paycheck that we get, aside from obviously rent or our normal bills, the rest of that comes home. So if you haven't thought about it, just really think about, you need some motivation. Just think about the concept of your entire paycheck, aside from your food, your bills. Imagine none of that going out to like a car payment or a student loan or a personal loan or any kind of loan, just not having that ever again. Nice. What was your best memory there?
I told you I don't have like a favorite memory. I just know that I have the thing that I like to do the most. Why is it on me? I don't have a favorite memory. It's just like the things that I like to do the most was probably on the weekend when we had nothing to do. Make breakfast and sit on the couch and eat breakfast and drink coffee together.
Yeah.
I liked doing that.
Yeah, and I'm going to miss that trail. I don't know if we ever said where we lived for obvious reasons, but we lived at the Riata. It's a nice place, a little overpriced. And because of Corona, we couldn't use the amenities, which was a big part of how we got there, but I mean, I had a great experience there. It was safe, which as we get older, I mean, it's always worth it. You know what I mean? You could always go to Runberg and get something like $800, but if you know Runberg, if you know, you know. Yeah, definitely gonna miss the trail. Yeah, sweet girl's friends. That's another thing I wanted to talk about with the apartment and just like leaving, just the finality of things. You know, it's kind of, I don't want to say sad, but it's just you close a chapter, you know. And so that's another thing I was talking about with my friends last night is like, man, make sure you live in the moment and appreciate things, because at some point it's going to be the last time we do that. And I pointed that out to Jennifer, and I think she started crying a little bit, but I was like, man, this is the last time we get to take sweet girl to the dog park here. You know, last time she got to play with other dogs there. And at some point there was the last time she got to play with Brady, you know? And so, man, there's the last time, and yeah, live in the moment, appreciate it there. And just remember, home is where you hang your wreath. We took our Christmas wreath with us. So anyhow, on to the next chapter. Peace.